good to see you. You know, while we're waiting for everyone to join today's interview, I want to remind you of the higher impact takeaways from my last interview in case you missed it. It was with Chris Dreyer. He's the founder of the well-known SEO agency Rankings.io, which primarily serves injury lawyers. You've probably heard of him. Number one takeaway from Chris: plan your creative. Your marketing will be more effective if you can take a distinctive approach with either it or your practice. It can be as simple as using a memorable name, narrowing your niche, maybe pursuing a particular client type. Number two, monitor intake. Chris uses CallRail, which we have also had success with here at James. If you are using local service ads, you absolutely must answer every call. Unanswered calls can put you in the LSA penalty box for months. Number three, reviews are critical to local search. So start by asking early in the client relationship after small wins, obtain a commitment, and then follow up. Most importantly, offer an incentive to every team member. Chris's recommendation of $25, $50 for each review will certainly help, but you can supercharge the effort by throwing in a paid day off when preset targets are met. Turning to today's session, my interview is with a lawyer who, with her partner, is building a nationwide nursing home abuse firm. Let's dive in. Hey, Dawn, welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks so much for having me. I'm really excited to be on with you.
Yeah, I'm excited to dive in. So to start, Dawn, tell us a little bit about your story, why you launched the firm, and a little bit about your experience.
So I don't think my experience is that different than other people. I mean, I just kind of felt compelled to be a lawyer when I was really young based on an experience I had. When I was about 10, my mom was getting remarried and we had to go before the judge and I was adopted. And I think it was something just about how kind that judge was, how he kind of navigated us through that system, that really just, I don't know, it kind of sparked something in me. And then I was really fortunate. I got to go to the U.S. Supreme Court when I was really young in 8th grade, went on a trip, got to see the U.S. Supreme Court, justices there, lawyers arguing. It was just amazing. And from that point forward, I think I just had a calling. And I met Curtis Kleinsmith, my partner, when I was an undergrad, and he and I kept in contact for a long time. I was practicing in California. He was practicing here. And we just always, he was my mentor. So I just kept in contact with him. And then at some point I moved back to Texas and we had this idea of joining forces and starting our firm together. So that is a very short, complete story. I think that's the quickest I've ever told it.
I appreciate it. No, that's great. So what year did you guys launch the firm?
So we started the firm in 2012. Okay. Actually, we had another partner, and he started the firm with our other partner in 2011, and then I joined in 2012.
And how big is the firm now? Your team, how many attorneys and support staff?
We have 15 lawyers now and 60 support staff.
And you're a national firm. I mean, how many states are you operating in?
We're in 20 states now, which is, wow. Yeah, which is crazy. I mean, we've doubled in size in the last year, and it has been just really a whirlwind. I feel so proud of what we're trying to do. We're just doing nursing home abuse litigation in a different way, hopefully to reach as many people who've been victimized across the states that we're working in, and we just hope to keep on growing so that we can help more people.
That's really impressive. Congratulations. That's really, really cool. So you said you doubled in the last year. What did kind of growth look like before then? What was the trajectory? How were you kind of growing the last few years?
So my partner and I we came together to do mass torts. So we did a lot of asbestos litigation initially. We were doing toxic exposure cases. And that's really where we kind of developed this national reach, because those cases were all over. And then Curtis always maintained his practice, which was personal injury, nursing home abuse, medical malpractice, just, trucking cases, a wide variety of cases. Right. And then about 3 years ago, we really decided we wanted to niche down. We wanted to niche down into one field. And at the beginning of 2023, we collapsed both firms into one. So it was really 2 years ago that we decided that this was the only type of litigation that we were going to do. And that, that was where we started. That was really where we kind of focused all of our energy. I feel like we were pulled in different directions before because we didn't have one goal, one vision together. We really sit down and we read the book, Vivid Vision. We mapped out, the 1 year, 3 year, 10-year plan. And I think that that's had a really big impact on us because we know that we have to make these milestones. And last year we had, I think we had 6 attorneys and 20 staff. Wow. So that's where we are. And now we have lawyers. Our goal is really to have associates that are licensed in at least 2 states. And many of our associates are licensed in 3 or more. We have one that's even licensed in 7.
Wow.
So, yeah.
So that's that's great. And niching down is so smart. A lot of attorneys I talk to are trying to move in that direction, but that's not simple. It's not easy. Can you explain what that process was like, the thought process, but then actually, putting it into practice? What was that like?
So it's really scary. It's really scary to commit to turning down huge cases that might come into your firm. I mean, that's the hardest part, is just having that conviction, like just believing in the vision, and sticking to it. So if you get a big old trucking case that comes in, you've got to say, all right, I'm going to refer that out. And that's hard at first. But I think that now, since COVID, lawyers have really been forced to change, to make a huge change in how we do things. Like if COVID wouldn't have happened, judges would not be letting us appear remotely to important hearings. They just wouldn't. So it really gave us the opportunity to focus on one area nationwide. I don't think we would have been able to necessarily do that like we're able to now because of the ability to, I can handle a hearing on the East Coast, handle a deposition on the Central Coast, and then handle another hearing on the West Coast all in one day, whereas it would have taken me 2 days to just get to the East Coast and back before. You got a travel day, you get there, prep, come back. So it's really it's more cost effective. Just a lot of things are so much easier when it comes to being able to practice nationally in one area.
You talk about approaching nursing home abuse cases differently. You're taking a different approach. Talk to us about that, what that means.
So nursing home cases, there are so many people that are impacted by abuse and neglect in nursing homes. There's a 2003 study that came out that says like 80% of people in nursing homes have been a victim of some type of abuse. So, but when you are pursuing these type of claims, there's a lot of criteria that you have to look at, right? What is the type of abuse? Where is it? How did the family react to it? Was the family engaged? And I would say the cases are very complex. You have to get into the corporate neglect. So they are labor intensive. And if you don't have systems in place, if you don't have protocols and procedures in place, we have divisions in our firm. We have a pre-lit department, a law and motion department, a litigation department. We have things segregated so that we can streamline the process and be efficient with it. So we don't have to only take the very best cases, right? There's so many firms out there that really their practice is centered on only being able to take those very best cases, and they take less cases in a year. We really have a different approach. We're trying to make our firm build it in a way that we're as efficient as possible. So we're providing the highest level of service while still being able to pursue cases that are bona fide cases that may not be those, quote unquote, perfect cases.
Well, I feel like that would be impossible without efficiency, right? I mean, I think that's probably the key to a lot of what you're talking about. Can you think of something recently that you've automated in the firm that you used to do manually?
Sure, that's a great question. So we brought on a company called Case Status. We use Litify too. Litify has really been a game changer for us as well. Now we have somebody in-house that is helping us program Litify in a way that we can automate our systems even more. But Case Status integrates with Litify so that we can automatically send messages to our clients. So when a case goes from one stage to another, or if we're preparing our client for a deposition and we just want to keep them informed as to what's happening next in their case, if there's a mediation coming on next, we can automatically send out a message to them to get them thinking about that and to get them engaged so that they can call us back, as opposed to having somebody maybe have to call several times before the client is able to call you back. So we've really, client communication, I think, is the first way we've automated things. Then deadlines, expert designations, those type of things, that's been really helpful as well.
That client communication is everything, right?
It absolutely is, because when you call them, we have a policy here that we have to call a client at least once every 30 days. Oh. Every single client is called at least once every 30 days, and most of the time more, because different departments overlap sometimes. And when you're calling the client as opposed to them calling you, they're excited to hear from you. They're like, oh, thank you for calling me and letting me know what's going on. That's really been a game changer.
Well, it's a point of distinction. I mean, it might seem like common sense, but that level of customer service isn't the norm, and it does go a long way, right? What about past clients? Are you calling past clients? Are you staying in touch with past clients as well?
Yeah. Okay. So we have a list so that we keep birthdays in our system. We're still trying to do better about automating those type of contacts, just to send a note, just to have that connection from a prior, just a prior interaction, either when their loved one has passed away, just sending them condolences. But we're still in the process of developing a newsletter to send to our prior clients, but we certainly aren't where I'd like to be yet. But that's something that we definitely want to do. We have a lot of people that certainly it will be helpful to stay in contact with them over the years.
Right, definitely. So let's talk a little bit about marketing. What are your primary sources of new business?
So really right now, the primary sources are referrals. Almost all of our cases are referrals. So we're trying to really strike a balance between some additional marketing, pay-per-click, that type of advertising, and then also our referral sources. But there are so many just great firms that we're partnering with on these type of cases across the country that, it's really been a game changer for us. I mean, we're signing a lot of cases a month at this point, and most of them are referrals.
How did you grow that referral network? How are you finding new referral partners to work with?
Just networking, putting out what we do, trying to build a brand for ourselves so that other firms understand that this is all we do. It's not just something we do sometimes. I think that makes a big difference as well. Being able to accept cases in many different states, I think that's helpful as well too, because not a lot of firms that just do nursing home abuse can take cases in many different states. And then you just have to have contact with them, and you have to have follow through and follow up with them so that they know you're a trusted partner, to where they feel confident sending you some of the best cases.
So it sounds like maybe referral partners are sort of approaching you, or are you reaching out? Just kind of both. Practically, how is that? Okay, good.
Yeah, both. Absolutely. There's been some firms that we've been trying to work with for a long time that just recently we started working with, and it just takes just those connections that you have to build, conferences, calling people, every month or so, just checking in. Hey, do you have any of these cases that you think you'd like to send to us? Can we start and, see how we do, that kind of thing. So you just have to follow up and build relationships. It's all about building relationships.
All about the relationship, right? So how are you nurturing the relationship beyond, maybe the calls? Are you sending thank you cards? Are you sending gifts? Anything to kind of stay top of mind?
I think the constant communication regarding the cases is the primary way. Every time we're at a conference and we know that one of our referral partners are going to be there, we try to have a meaningful interaction with them, go to dinner or something like that. If we'll take the time to go out of state and go visit those partners just to check in, see how everything's going, just be, like you said, top of mind. You have to have that FaceTime, and you have to have, I would say, video calls really make a difference as well, as opposed to just calling somebody on the phone. If you can schedule a time and actually get on and talk to them and show them your metrics, show them what you've been able to accomplish, show them your systems, show them your processes. We've been really diligent about creating processes, internal processes in all of our departments, including our intake department, to where I think that helps as well if they see what we've accomplished in the system-wide changes that we've made across the firm.
Yeah, and I would imagine kind of being transparent with the processes and the progress would just further help to build that trust, right? You talk about that relationship building.
Yeah. Because I think before, really, I think people didn't really want to pull the curtain, or wanted to not pull the curtain across.
Right, I know what you mean, yeah.
And I think just being more transparent about how you do things, why you do things a certain way, what your passion is, why we do this, why we think these cases are important, why we only do this type of litigation, I think that has an impact on people as well. They know that if we're just doing this area of the law and we're doing it across multiple states, and we have systems in place, I think that builds credibility as well.
Absolutely. And your referral partners can be that much more confident that the referred business is, being well handled and taken care of. And certainly that goes a long way in getting more referral business, right? So yeah, that's great. What about social media? How does social media play into your marketing strategy? Is it a lead driver for the firm?
So social media was kind of, I feel like we were late to the game. It was only last year that we hired a communications director who's really helped us with social media and kind of build our brand. We're still trying to build a brand. When it comes to generating leads, I don't know necessarily if we're getting leads from social media quite yet. We've tried some targeted ads through one of our coaching partners. I don't know if that's necessarily been successful. We haven't really converted any leads based on our social media presence. Now, I probably need to check in with my partner, Curtis Kleinsmith, because he really is the mind behind all of that. He knows those numbers inside and out. But what we've really tried to do with social media is to just provide information to folks about what we do. And you've got to build credibility across all platforms, because if somebody's referring you something, they're going to look you up. They're going to look at your social media. They're going to look at your website. They're going to look and see if you are who you say you are. And you've got to be likable. You've got to be knowledgeable. People have got to be able to trust you, and you've got to develop a presence with your social media so that you're able to build that trust.
And social media can also be a resource for building that referral network further too, right? So not only, speaking to consumers, but potentially to other referral sources, especially since, you cover so many states and social media is obviously national platform. So I think that makes a lot of sense. You mentioned coaching partners. Do you work with business coaches, or tell me about that?
Yeah, we do. We work with CRISP right now. CRISP out of Atlanta. So they are a great organization. We have been a member with them really kind of off and on, started in COVID, didn't work with them for a little bit, started working with them again. So I think that has certainly been helpful over time. I think business coaches are key. I think just really to get to that next level in your development, you have to be improving on a daily basis. You have to be a better leader. You have to be able to make better decisions. And the more information you have, the better. So, I'd never thought about having a business coach until a few years ago, but I know that it has really encouraged me to just learn and grow and be better. And I hope that's made a difference on our entire team as well.
And there's probably some baked in accountability there too, right? When you're strategizing and kind of, working so closely with a coach. What would you say is kind of the greatest benefit that you've seen from working with CRISP? I know they have live events, they have mastermind kind of, meetups. What has really kind of been helpful for you guys in your growth?
I would say really the the relationships, building relationships with people that are similar in their goals and beliefs. It's really inspiring to go to Mike Mogul's conferences. I mean, he does an amazing job. The speakers that he presents are great. Just being around people that are like-minded, I think that has really benefited me the most, is just seeing that it's not always easy. There's lots of people that are going through challenges and similar things that we've gone through, and I think that's helpful.
I mean, yeah, what's more valuable than that, really, right? As a business owner, just being in a room with other like-minded individuals.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So about what percent of your revenue are you investing in your marketing at this point?
I would say probably about 15 to 20%,
Okay.
I would
Okay.
say.
And so, yeah,
Um,
tell us what that's going to. Yeah.
Yeah, so that again, and I hate this. I should have had my numbers before I came in with you, but so I'm the trial lawyer, right? And Curtis is my partner, and he is really the business guy. So that's probably a better question for him, and I don't want to tell you something that's
Yeah.
inaccurate.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think that he and our COO Charlie are really involved in that, and we have, like I said, we have a director of communications that helps plan that out as well. So I'm
Sure.
not positive.
Yeah, that's okay. What steps have you taken to kind of improve the firm's profitability specifically?
So being able to scale and having the right amount of employees for the right amount of cases, I think that has been really the most challenging part of it, because you have to have competent lawyers that are working these cases and working them the way we want them worked, right? Like that's kind of what I was telling you about developing those processes. You have to have processes, they have to be in writing, you have to have training so that you don't have a bunch of lawyers doing everything the way they want to do it.
Mm.
So I think that has helped. We've also hired overseas companies to help us with. We're hiring lawyers that are licensed in other countries that are working as paralegals for us. Also, we've hired medical records clerks that are working overseas. I think that's really helped as well. So we've been able to bring on a lot more labor to help our litigation department so we can be more efficient in moving our cases towards resolution.
Smart. How are you finding the overseas help? What's that recruiting process look like?
So we're working with one company right now, and we have been for the last quarter. I would say it's actually been about 5 months, and it's been challenging. I feel like you have to have a training program for these folks. You can't just expect them to just come in and pick it up. So I think we're still trying to learn exactly the best way to go about doing that. But I think it's a game changer. If we can get it right, I really think it's going to make a huge impact for our clients. So it's still a work in progress. We're still trying to make sure we're working with the right company. But I would say to people deciding to bring in overseas workers, you have to have some sort of a training program. You have to have some sort of system of KPIs, key performance indicators. You have to make sure you're able to hold these folks accountable with reasonable standards based on reasonable training protocols.
Another reason to get all of that training and all of those SOPs in place, right?
That's right.
Absolutely.
And it's
Absolutely.
hard. It's
Yeah.
hard. I mean,
Yeah.
when we were first starting it, we have a leadership team, and we got a lot of pushback. Everybody's like, "This takes time." I'm so busy, and it's true. It takes time to do it, but it's so important if you want to scale. I mean, you can't just train this person to train that person to train the next person. It's like playing telephone, right? We all played telephone growing up, and you can't run a business that way. So
Yep.
it's a must.
Yep. Absolutely. What about any other recommended tools or software? I know you mentioned a couple, but any tools that you can't live without?
I would just say, you've got to have a great CRM that you believe in. You've got to be able to integrate it with your intake systems and your communication systems with your clients. So Litify and Case Status, we really can't live without those right now.
Yep.
We use a record retrieval system called Arcretrieval for our medical records. They're doing pretty great work for us right now. Just basics, I would say. I mean, personally, I use OneNote with Microsoft 360. That really helps me kind of keep track of everything and everything that's going on. We use a lot of EOS systems too for our management level meetings. I think that those are the main tools that I would say. I would hate it if I had to walk away from those.
What about tracking leads? Are you tracking source per lead, or what does that look like within the CRM?
Absolutely. Yeah, everything's tracked. We have dashboards built out through Litify, which is amazing. So we know where every lead comes from, and basically we're able to segregate all of the information that we need to be able to really know where our sources are, our most profitable sources, and how to build on those sources from there.
Yep, smart. Are you using AI either in your daily work or with marketing?
So I love ChatGPT. I use it more than I would say a lot of the folks here that are working. They're still kind of like, I'm not sure exactly if I want to use that, how I want to use it. But right. I just did a CLE for lawyers on AI and how to use it. I mean, there's a lot of great tools that you can incorporate now, for demands. There's a lot of AI tools that you can use to draft demands. I haven't used that lately. I mean, generally what I'm doing is I'm using it to help with processes, to help with job descriptions, to help just kind of streamline thoughts and ideas, memos, summarizing documents. We use an AI company to provide a medical records timeline. That's been really helpful. I think we need to find a different one because I think that it's unreasonably expensive for one report, just depending on how many medical records there are. But I can see that being a really great tool in the future. If we can find a company that does it for more of a reasonable rate, I think we'd be using that all the time.
Yeah, I mean, tasks that used to take days, weeks, could take hours, right? I mean, the efficiencies are endless.
Yeah. I think this next 2 or 3 years, I think we're going to see a lot of changes when it comes to just AI tools that'll help us be better.
Absolutely. Dawn, can you talk about lessons learned or maybe a mistake you feel like you made in growing the firm?
I would say kind of a pivotal point for us is we knew we wanted to niche down. We knew we just wanted to do nursing home abuse. We knew we wanted to grow, and we hired quite a few lawyers all at one time, brought them all in at the same time. They were younger lawyers, and we did not have the systems in place, the processes in place to really prop them up and help them be successful. And I'll never forget it. We had a meeting one day, they came in, all of them together, and they were just talking about some of the things that they felt that they needed to be better. And we really took it to heart. We really thought, let's look at this again. Let's see structurally what we can do to have systems in place so that we can bring people in that are new lawyers that haven't ever done civil litigation to teach them how to do it our way. And that was definitely a growing moment. Now, only one of those lawyers is still working with us. She's the only one that kind of stuck in there and stayed with us. She's been with us now for 2.5 years.
Okay.
But I think that was really a growth moment. I think Curtis and I both were kind of jump in people, right? We just kind of, and that's how we were when we were young lawyers too. And I think sometimes leaders of firms overestimate what young lawyers that are just learning have the capacity to do. I mean, not everybody is just willing to just kind of jump in fearless like that. The more structure you have for them, the more that you're setting them up for success.
That's really good advice. But jumping in fearlessly is an amazing trait of an entrepreneur, right?
Right.
Sometimes we have to backpedal a little bit, but I think that's really, really good advice, kind of having that foundation in place. So before we wrap up, Dawn, I always like to ask, if a lawyer watching has time to adopt one, maybe two of your tips, what would you recommend?
I would say processes first and foremost. I mean, you have to do it, regardless of how long it takes. Sit down, figure out what the key parts of your firm are. What do you love about your firm? What do you think that you're doing great? And sit down and write it down. We have a database and actually a web-based system to where we save all of our processes in one place so that our people can basically, do a Google search for certain processes to find things. And you don't have to do all of them at once. Don't feel overwhelmed. Just sit down and do one at a time, because if you do that, you're setting yourself up for success in the future. I think that's the one thing that really can make a difference, is just taking the time to write those processes down so that they're available, so you don't have to keep on repeating the same things over and over again. That's the only way you can scale, is having systems in place that other people can teach.
Excellent advice. Get that foundation in place. Those processes might be a little bit painful. It's definitely a time investment up front, but like you say, then things can scale and run so much smoother rather than repeating, right? And then you get caught in that loop.
Yes, don't play telephone. Don't play telephone. You have lots of other things that you can be doing to grow your business. So stop playing telephone. Write it down.
Exactly. Dawn, thank you so much. You've been super generous with your time and your knowledge. I really appreciate it. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on. I loved it.
Thank you.
Tons of good stuff from Dawn today, right? Here are the key takeaways I see. Number one, niche down. The narrower your specialty, the more powerful will be your marketing message. When a nursing home prospect is comparing firms, it's hard for a general injury firm to appear a superior choice to Dawn's, right? However, direct-to-consumer marketing then becomes more difficult. So it becomes necessary for you to, number two, reach out for referrals. Dawn has been smart to seek cases that are not slam dunks, right? Those are the ones most likely to be referred. Outreach requires persistence for a relationship, as well as competence are key elements, of course, when building trust, building those relationships. Number three, be transparent with referral partners. You got to be upfront. You got to be transparent. That trust can be further enhanced by sharing your approach in addition to communicating your progress on each case. Share those case updates. That sharing will be especially impactful if your approach is different than your competition's, right? Maybe your attorneys carry a lighter caseload, or your attorneys do work that others maybe delegate to paralegals, or like Dawn's firm, your automation and processes deliver greater efficiencies. And number four, establish processes. Most people like structure. Your new hires will succeed at a higher rate if you provide them with preset work steps rather than throwing work at them with little guidance on how to handle it. Dawn has learned this the hard way, losing many of early associate hires before she wrote up those processes and really her firm's work foundation. Number five, call clients regularly. Call them. Dawn described the institution of her 30-day call requirement as a game changer. For most consumer law clients, service trumps outcome, right? You provide red carpet treatment to your clients, which includes regular case updates. You will receive more 5-star reviews and certainly more referrals, both from other lawyers and from your clients and from your past clients. If you adopt only one of Dawn's processes, only one, make this the one. So if you want help expanding your referral network, my team and I are available to assist. Of course, we've scheduled over 1,000 phone calls and Zoom meetings with lawyers, doctors, others interested in discussing referral partnerships, and you can certainly do the same. We can help you with that. So contact me if you're interested. I'll throw my direct scheduler link in the chat. I hope my interview with Dawn has been helpful. My next interview is with a well-known personal injury lawyer and business coach. You won't want to miss it. Until then, keep marketing. Take care. Bye-bye.